This video is brought to you today by Ghost Tags. This is my own company that I started because I wanted a glow-in-the-dark AirTag case. These things are awesome. You can stick them on your backpack, on your dog's collar, and you will be able to find it at night. We've got two colors, blue and green. They've got great reviews. Go check them out. Links to them down below. Now on to the video. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Slim and you're watching Slimothy TV. In this video, I've got a pretty cool one for you guys. We're gonna go over the ultimate battery tips and tricks for iOS 18. So most of you guys have probably already installed iOS 18, iOS 18.1, or iOS 18.2. If you have any of those versions, this video is perfect for you because we're gonna talk about how to extend your battery life to make it last throughout the day, as well as to keep your battery health at 100% for as long as possible. So let's get right into this. Now these are in no particular order, so make sure you watch to the end to make sure you maximize your battery efficiency. So let's get right into this. First off, if you just updated to iOS 18 within the past like 3 days, let your phone do its thing. It's gonna take a little bit of time for the phone to finish indexing all the new files with the new operating system. Now, the way you can check and see if yours is still doing it, you head into settings, scroll down until you see battery, click on that. Now in here, there will be a little block of text either right here or here, and it's going to say your update is still in progress, it's still finishing, so give your phone a little bit of time to finish. Your battery life might not be that great while it's finishing that up, so just be patient. It usually takes up to 5 days total. Mine usually finishes in 2 to 3 at the most, but of course this depends on a lot of different factors like heat and if your phone's charging a lot. That's tip number one, just let it do its thing and check in here to see if it's still doing it. Mine's done. Next up, once your phone is done updating, you need to reboot your phone properly to clear out any corrupted files. Now this is super easy. All you do is press volume up, press volume down, and then hold the power button and just keep holding it. I'm gonna do this live on camera for you guys because a lot of people don't know about this way to reboot their phone. So just keep holding it. We're holding the power button right now. That's the only one. We're still holding it, even though the phone is completely black. Once we see the Apple logo, we let go. That's it. So it's volume up, volume down, and then hold the power button until you see the Apple logo. Super simple to do, but this will clear out any junk files on your phone that could be causing it to run slower, which can in turn use a lot of extra battery. So do this. I do this about once a week. I forget if it was the FBI or the NSA. One of those actually said to do this daily or as often as possible because malware cannot stay on your phone in most cases after a reboot. So once you reboot, if there was malware on your phone, this should clear out like 99% of it, unless you're like a world leader where they have infected you with a different virus that's a little bit more sophisticated. But for most people, this is the best way to clear out your phone and make the battery last a little longer. I always do this after every single update, and I like to do it every few days anyway. Now, this next one's gonna seem super obvious to most of you guys, but head into the App Store and update all of your apps, okay? Especially after this iOS 18 update, there's been a lot of app updates that optimize for iOS 18. So you're gonna wanna get those changes immediately so that your battery life doesn't suffer because of it, because a lot of developers have put out updates now so that their apps run more smoothly with iOS 18. So go update your apps immediately after updating to iOS 18. Now, in most cases, the number one cause of battery drain is from brightness being too high. So right now you can see my brightness is actually quite high, and that is because I am in a studio and I also have a privacy matte screen protector on, so it dims the screen quite a bit anyway. But if you guys just have a normal screen protector or you're running no screen protector, you're gonna wanna keep your brightness somewhere just above the first sunrise. That's how I usually have my phone. Obviously it looks dim right now because I'm in a studio, I have bright lights on this, and because of my matte privacy screen protector. This is how I rock it when indoors, and then when I'm outdoors, I just bump it up a little. Now, a lot of other YouTubers recommend turning on auto brightness. Me personally, I hate auto brightness because I don't like my phone switching, dark and light. It's usually wrong, like it doesn't get it exactly how I want it. So I keep mine off. But if you have a habit of leaving your brightness up all the way, all day, you should turn on auto brightness just to help you learn that you don't need it full blast, burning your retinas all day. You can tone it down just a bit, save a lot of battery life that way, because screen brightness is one of the main ways that you lose battery on your phone. So the lower you keep it, the more battery life you're gonna have. Now, a lot of people don't know this one, but if you're in an area like your home where you have Wi-Fi, keep it on Wi-Fi, okay? You don't wanna be running around with Wi-Fi turned off because 5G and 4G LTE use way more power. That radio in your phone uses way more power than the Wi-Fi radio. So you wanna keep your phone on Wi-Fi when possible to conserve battery. Now, in that same vein, you're gonna wanna turn off Bluetooth when it's not in use. So if you're wearing an Apple Watch, unfortunately, you gotta keep Bluetooth on. So that's just the way it is, unless you're like me and you keep your watch on airplane mode, because Apple Watch gives off a ton of EMF frequency, and that's a video for another day, but I keep Bluetooth on my phone when I need it, but typically I keep this turned off. Now, if you turn off Bluetooth completely on your phone by just toggling it off, you are going to save some battery. You just got to remember to toggle it back on, which you can easily do at any time from this menu here. Just tap on the Bluetooth icon. So I like to keep Bluetooth off when I'm out in public and I don't need it. Like if I'm at the grocery store, there are certain grocery stores that use Bluetooth beacons to track you around the store. And what they can do is they can tap into your Bluetooth on your phone and track which areas of the aisles that you spend the most time. It's very creepy. They like to compile that with their video recording because there's cameras all over different stores. And they identify you that way and see who stays longer in this aisle and that aisle for marketing purposes. It's creepy as hell. So I keep Bluetooth off when I'm in public or when I don't need it. But the side effect is, 1, you don't get tracked as often, and 2, you save some battery. It's a win-win. Now, another misconception is that people want to run their phone all day with low power mode turned on. This is ridiculous, and Apple actually advises against it. I advise against it as well. You should not keep your phone in low power mode all the time. It makes no sense. Here's why. When you're in low power mode, it throttles your phone. It turns off a ton of background processes like getting mail. If you have a pro phone like this one with a 120 hertz screen, it drops you down to 60 hertz. So you're not even getting the full potential of your screen. You're not getting the full potential of your processor. Everything's going to be laggy. Things are not going to go as fast. You should not keep low power mode on at all times. However, there's a time and place for low power mode. If you're going out to like a cabin somewhere and you know the service is going to be bad and you're worried about power options, yeah, turn on low power mode. And this is just a side pro tip. If you're ever somewhere like a cabin or somewhere remote that has no cell service, you need to have your phone on airplane mode. Otherwise, your phone is going to kill itself by trying to find signal. It happened to me once. I went out to a cabin and within literally 2 hours, my phone was dead because it was searching for signal and I forgot to put it on airplane mode. You do not want your cellular radio trying to search for a signal constantly because it tries hard. It will warm up your phone. It will try everything it can to get a signal, which obviously makes sense. That's what it's supposed to do. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, there's nothing you can do about that. So airplane mode. But back to what I was saying, if you're going to be at a one-off spot like a friend's house or somewhere where you don't have a charger or something, or you're running really low on power, yeah, turn on low power mode, but don't run it every day. There's no need for that. Next up, this one is going into settings. So we're going to hop in here. We're going to scroll down until you see display and brightness. Then we're going to scroll down just a tiny bit until we see always on display. Now, if you have one of the newer phones or the Pro phones, you're going to see these options here. Show wallpaper, show notifications, always on display. This is the always on display. You can barely see the outline right here, but when you lock your phone, you can still kind of see the time. And if I wasn't in a studio, you'd be able to see this nice shot of the Bahamas from an airplane that I took. It looks great, and even when it's locked, I like to see that. But some people don't want that extra power being used, so they will turn off show wallpaper. Now it is just a completely black background when it is on the always on display. You guys probably can't tell a difference there, but trust me when I tell you, this is all black. Now, this is how most Android phones are as well. It's just all black. And then once you wake it up, it shows the wallpaper. That will save a little bit of battery, actually. Consider turning off wallpaper if you notice that you just don't care about that. Show notifications, I would keep that on, honestly. But if you don't want the always on display at all, this will actually save the most battery life because there is going to be no always on display. And when you wake it, of course it'll work. But until then, it's going to stay black. Personally, I don't like it because I like to be able to just glance at my phone, see if someone texted me without touching it or anything. So if I'm just working at my desk, I'll just set my phone to the side. And let's say someone texts me while I was in the middle of video editing. I didn't see the text come through, but 5 minutes later, I glance over. I can see it on the home screen without tapping my phone to wake it up. I like the always on display. It's worth the battery trade-off. But if you do want to save quite a bit, turn it off. And you can save a few percentage points a day of battery by having that off. All right, so this next one is only for those of you with the Pro phones. If you want to switch from 120 hertz down to 60 hertz for whatever reason, just to save some battery life, you can do that. First off, I don't recommend this because this is what makes the Pro phone a Pro phone. It's that silky smooth scrolling and animations. But if you don't care about that, you can actually go into settings, accessibility. Now here you would think it would be in display, but it's not. It's under motion for some reason. And then limit frame rate. This will set the phone back to 60 FPS instead of 120. Me personally, I would never ever recommend doing this on a Pro phone. And here's the reason. When your phone is just sitting like this, it's not actually refreshing at 120 right now. It's at like 1. And then once you start scrolling, then it starts jumping up from 1 to 60 to 80 to 90 to 120. So it's adaptive, and Apple's smart about this, and it doesn't just waste battery for no reason. So I recommend keeping this off. Now, if we hop back into this menu here for motion, we can reduce motion right here, and we can also prefer crossfade transitions if we want. This will use a little bit, tiny bit less battery. It's really not going to be noticeable, but it's there if you guys want to reduce motion. That'll just change the animations like that, and stuff will just fade out instead of using that little animation. All right, so this next one is starting to actually roll out right now, and that is Apple Intelligence. So I'm gonna have a whole entire video going over the cool features of Apple Intelligence. You can make Genmojis, you can make pictures of people, all kinds of cool stuff with AI. But using that uses a ton of battery life, at least right now. My phone heats up quite a bit when I use Playground. So if you're not going to ever use any of that junk, you can go into Apple Intelligence and Siri and just toggle it off. If you don't use Siri and you don't use Apple Intelligence, you can just turn it off. You will save battery that way. However, most people probably want to keep that on just so they have access to Siri and access to Apple Intelligence. All right, so let's get into some more tricky ones here. So in settings, head into cellular, click on your primary line, and then click on voice and data, and you will see this here. Now you can see mine is set to 5G on and 5G standalone. This is probably the worst for battery life. So if you want to save battery life, you're gonna wanna switch it to 5G auto or LTE. I like 5G auto the best right now for saving battery and also having a little bit of extra speed. If you switch it to LTE, you're only gonna get LTE speeds maximum. The other thing you're gonna wanna do is make sure 5G standalone is turned off. Right now, I just want mine to only use 5G, so it uses quite a bit more battery, but you would just do 5G auto and turn this off. If you want the best battery life, this is probably how yours is set up right now. You might just wanna double check it, because this is going to give you the best battery life, but also the best speeds with the use of 5G. But again, if 5G is not in your area, you can switch to LTE, but 5G is pretty much everywhere at this point. It's spread out quite a bit. So I'm going to put mine back to how it was, but again, most battery savings, switch it. Now, if you back out of that menu and then click on data mode, you're going to see allow more data on 5G, standard or low. I like to allow more on 5G because I have unlimited and I don't worry about my battery that much. But if you do, keep it on standard or low data mode. And you guys can read the little descriptions here if you want. All right, next up, we're gonna hop into battery settings here. So we're gonna scroll down. Once this loads, you're gonna wanna look at your top usage right here. Now, mine is obviously completely skewed right now because I've got 24 hours of usage because I'm working on taking all my photos off of iCloud and onto my own server, just so I can stop paying for iCloud, just so I have less reliance on Apple for my stuff. And I don't wanna pay that monthly fee to them. So ignore that right here, but go through your top apps right here, which will probably be right here for you. And just see what the most is. If it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, consider using it less, deleting those apps. You know, they're just junk anyway, wasting your time, and replace it with something healthier in your life, like actual experiences rather than staring at your phone. What you can also do is click on a show activity, and that will actually show you the actual times that you've been spending on those apps or what they've been doing, in this case, in the background. And you might want to make sure you kill the apps that are running in the background. Make sure they're not able to waste your battery in that way. Then you want to go to last 10 days here and just see what's been using all of your battery. You can also click show activity here and you can see what's been using all of that time and that battery usage right here. If it's stuff like Waze, you know, it's probably not that big of a deal. Or if it's something that you're doing, like I'm actively moving photos. So this makes sense to me because I've had my phone on literally this long. It's killing my battery, but it is what it is. It has to be done. And luckily it's a one-time thing. But if I had like Facebook or Instagram up there, I would definitely be deleting those apps. So go through your apps, see which ones are using the most amount of battery and delete them or stop using them. One way to help you do this and to save battery is to head into your settings, scroll down to notifications, and you're going to want to first make sure that these are customized how you want. I like mine in list mode. And I personally don't like these options here, like scheduled summary and such. But go through and turn off any notification to any app that you don't need. In my case, I usually just delete an app if I don't want their notifications, but there's some here that I turn off, like badges or certain things like that. I'll allow the banners, but not the badges because those can be annoying. But you're gonna wanna go through these, turn off any notifications you don't need, because every time your phone lights up, buzzes, it's using battery. And if it's something stupid, like someone liked your post on Facebook or something, you don't need to see that. It doesn't matter. You can check it online on your computer or on your phone when you log in once a day and just see whatever. If you really care about that stuff, turn off notifications for stuff that you don't need. This will save you a ton of battery. All right, next up here, this one is also incredibly important. So you're gonna want to pay attention to this one. Scroll down until you see privacy and security, click on that, click on location services. Make sure you scroll down just a bit and go through all these and set them to either never or while using. You don't want really any of these to be always. The only one that I allow to always is one for my radar detector. But besides that, everything else is set to when shared, when using, or never. So go through and do this because if anything's in the background using your location, it can easily drain your battery that way. And this is something that people forget about quite often. So yeah, it'll take 10 minutes. Just go through these and set them to never while using. And then when you're done with that, you're gonna click on the bottom one here, system services. Now here, you're probably gonna want yours to look similar to mine and kind of copy these here. There's certain ones, like a lot of people get hung up on cell network search. They think that if they turn this off, they're gonna get worse cell reception. That is not true. This is actually just sending your location to Apple, who doesn't need to know your location, about which cell tower you're on. Okay, it's just creepy stuff. Turn that off. It wastes your battery. You don't need to send that to Apple. Device management, if your phone is not part of a fleet at work or school, you can turn that off. I'd turn it off anyway if you can, because that's creepy. They don't need to know that. Keep HomeKit on, Find My Phone, and Emergency SOS. It makes sense. Same with compass and alerts. That's fine. Motion calibration, yeah, that's fine. Satellite, yeah. Setting time zone, that makes sense, right? Networking and wireless, when you turn this off, it actually gives you a little warning. And what this actually does is it uses your location with your Wi-Fi network, and it tells Apple when you're on a certain network what your location is, and it relays that, and it kind of makes a map of everyone's Wi-Fi network and where it is on a map. Kind of creepy. I keep that off. But the rest of these I keep on, except for Wi-Fi calling. Doesn't need to send my location anywhere for that. Now I keep significant locations on, at least right now, just for photo memories. But as I offload my photos into Synology Photos on my own personal server, I'm actually going to turn this off. So if you use iCloud, yeah, it makes sense to do that. But me personally, once I get everything off of iCloud, I'm going to turn off significant locations. There is no need for that besides photo memories and stuff like that. Turn off all of these product improvements, okay? You don't need these. It doesn't really help you. It just uses your battery. Turn those off and make yours kind of look like mine, and you'll be set. Now, another thing, while we're in here, we'll just scroll back up and we'll go back, click on tracking, and just make sure allow apps to track is turned off. Some apps try to trick you into turning this on. You do not ever want this on. You don't want to allow them to track you. There's no point to that. There is literally no point to this, except they will gather your data about you. Keep that off at all times, under any circumstance. Then we'll just scroll all the way down to this menu here, and we'll click on analytics and improvements, turn them all off. Every one of them, keep them off. Apple doesn't need to know that. You don't need to waste your battery sending them analytics about your phone and how you use it. Apple advertising, I like to keep that off. Doesn't really help your battery any, but you don't need personalized ads. That's creepy. They don't need to keep tabs on what you click on. All right, next up, this tip goes across the board to pretty much everyone with an iPhone at this point. You need to remove unnecessary widgets from your phone. These can drain your battery in the background without you even knowing it because they have to update all the time. So if you have any widget you don't need, just long press on it, hit remove widget, and delete it, and you're good. If you have some that you like and you like to keep them, by all means keep it. I like to have one up here for my calendar. I just move it when I'm doing a video so you guys can't see stuff on there, but calendar doesn't take up much at all, but certain widgets will take up quite a bit of resources, and you're gonna wanna keep that in mind when you are using those. Remove any unnecessary widgets. Now this next one is kind of controversial, and it is live activities. So if you have an app on your phone that uses live activities, like I think Uber does, probably Starbucks at this point, I know Flighty does. So I'm just gonna show you guys that one right now. So I'm gonna scroll down until I see Flighty. If you have live activities turned on right here, that means it will be able to show you those and update those all the time on your home screen. I personally love it for Flighty so that, you know, if I'm at an airport, I want to see that, and I wanna see if my gate changes, all that stuff. I wanna see that little live activity on my phone. But if there's stupid stuff that you just don't care about, like sports scores, you can turn those off, and that will save you a little bit of battery when those are enabled. And certain other apps like Flight Radar 24 here, if I click on that, you can actually click on live activities and select more frequent or just regular. So if you have more frequent turned on, that's gonna use even more battery on top of the live activity. So keep that in mind. I personally don't mind it because if I'm using a live activity, I probably want it updated. But if you're pressed for battery, definitely turn that off. Now, a lot of you guys probably don't use AirDrop daily. If you do, then you can ignore this portion. But if you don't, head into Settings, General, AirDrop, and you can turn receiving off for AirDrop completely. So that will turn off that little portion of the radio, and it will not be looking for AirDrop. It'll save you a little bit of battery over the long term. I keep mine on contacts only because I do use it a decent amount. But again, you can totally turn that off if you want to save a little bit of battery and if you don't use it much. Oh, and I also keep bringing devices together. I keep that off so that my phone's not constantly looking for other phones when they are next to each other. Now, if you back out of that, you're just in this regular settings menu and you scroll down until you see sounds and haptics. You can actually turn off haptics here if you want, if you don't want your phone buzzing when it rings. I like it turned on. But if we scroll down even more, we also have keyboard feedback. Now, I like mine to do a little haptic when I type a letter, right? I like that feeling. It helps me know that I clicked the right button. I actually keep it on. It uses a little bit of extra battery, but I'm okay with that because I like it. Once you try it, you might not be able to go back. So just be advised, if you haven't turned it on, you might not want to. Actually, you probably do want to because it just makes the experience so much better. When I use someone else's phone and they don't have it on, it just feels weird typing on just a surface with no clicks. I don't know. It's weird. If you keep it on, it's going to use a little more battery. So what? System haptics, that's another one. This is across the whole system. You can turn it off completely if you want to save just that little bit of battery and have your phone not vibrate at all. All right, so this next one, if you scroll down in settings, click on accessibility, scroll down until you see sound recognition. If you need this, you can turn it on, but I keep mine turned off. Otherwise, it's going to be listening for sounds in the background to alert you to whatever it is. Obviously, if you need this, keep it on. It's probably worth it to you. But if you don't, and you're like me, I like to turn it off and save that little bit of battery so my phone's not always listening to different things in my environment. I think it's kind of creepy anyway. Even though they say it's on device, that extra battery savings of keeping it off is worth it to me. Now, another setting in here that uses a ton of battery is eye tracking. I think most people are going to keep this off, but if you need it, obviously you need it and it's worth it to you. But for the vast majority of people, eye tracking turned off is the way to go, just so it doesn't kill your battery with an unnecessary feature. All right, next up, we're going to get into something a little bit more technical, but you're going to love the changes here because I'm going to put you on some game for blocking ads. You're going to want to go into your apps, scroll down until you see Safari. So here we go, Safari, click on that. And you're going to want to first turn off preload top hit. Just keep that off. You're going to want to turn off search engine suggestions. And then you're going to want to make sure that you have block pop-ups turned on and extensions installed. Now I use AdBlock Pro, AdGuard Pro, and Stop the Madness Pro, as well as NextDNS. I have an entire video going over this portion right here. Right here, go watch that video. It's one of our most viewed videos. It just continues to rack up views and people keep thanking us, showing them how to block ads across their whole phone. That will save you a ton of battery life because ads are notorious for wasting your battery, and some of them even have malware in them sometimes. So I block ads completely. I never see an ad on my phone, and on my MacBook, I haven't seen an ad since 2012. So when I first started using an ad blocker. So I haven't seen an ad in literally over a decade at this point. Go watch that video when you're done with this one, but that will definitely save you some battery. Now, this next one is interesting. You can actually download offline maps now in Apple Maps, and that will save your phone from having to pull the maps every time. It'll just pull them from memory instead of having to download them. That will save you a little bit of time. So you can download pretty much any maps you want. I've got Nassau right here so that when I'm there, I don't need to connect to their cell service to get a map. But you can of course do this with your own location and it will save you a little bit of battery. And make sure you sync it with your watch so that you can continue to get directions that way. Definitely the way to go. Next up, you're gonna wanna limit who can see you in Find My. So a lot of people have family tracking and that's cool. But if you have like 50 friends that are tracking you in Find My, that can wear out your battery because it's going to constantly try to pull your location every time one of your friends tries to see where you're at. Definitely consider lowering who can see your location on Find My if you have a ton of people. Now, if you only have like 5 family members and they all need it, keep it, that's fine. But if you have like 50 friends, like I said, turn off some of them that don't need to see your location all the time. Your battery will definitely thank you to not have 50 people trying to pull your location. Next up, keep your phone in dark mode as much as possible. I have mine turned off because of the video, but turn on dark mode when you can. That will save you some battery. You can also switch to a black wallpaper if you want to save even more, because on the OLED phones, when an icon is actually black, that pixel is actually turned off. So your display is not even pushing any energy towards it. So you're saving battery that way. Now there's only 2 more tips here and I saved them for last because they are super important. So those of you guys that watch till the end, you guys are getting them right now. The first one here is to go into settings, general, and then click on background app refresh and turn this completely off. I only don't have it off right now because of 2 apps. Like I said, these here because I'm syncing photos, but I keep this off 24/7 any other time. I never just toggle it off and don't turn it on at all. There'll be a little toggle up here when it's off. I keep mine off completely. There's no point to having background app refresh on ever. Next up, people say don't kill your apps in the background. I always kill my apps at all times, but you should definitely do this if you have Google Maps or Waze or any navigation app. They continue tracking you in the background. Even when you close the app like this, sometimes they can still access your location. Creepy as hell, especially if you have background app refresh on. So turn off background app refresh and kill your apps when you're done using them, because you do not want those to keep using your location in the background. That will kill your battery very quickly. Anyways, guys, that has been a comprehensive guide on how to save battery life on your iPhone. If you like the video, please hit it with a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and they will almost definitely thank you for showing them this. Anyways, that's all I got. Lots more videos coming. Stay tuned. Peace.